Welcome back, everyone. It's officially the next week here. Unfortunately, our crew didn't do anything. We had some other contractors come in, and like I said, the plumbing wasn't really finished last time. So you can already see they got some more tubes and stuff going everywhere. It's going to be a jungle gym down here. This is actually what this is. They're turning this into a McDonald's playground. But all jokes aside, they got all the plumbing laid out. You can see this right here. So we're gonna go take a look at all that. So you can kind of see, they got it kind of just everywhere. So you can still see the perimeter drain on the side with that gravel, that kind of, you can see it right there, that gravel that I'm talking about. And then you have more of the dirt here. So they were in here this week, just getting all their plumbing set up, getting it finished. It's really important that the plumbing is right, just because once you pour that concrete floor, you know, the only way you're going to adjust anything is just to tear the floor out. So it's really important that the guys come in here and do a phenomenal job on their plumbing. That way we don't have to do any kind of demo work in the future if they mess up anything down here. So they're taking their time on that. They got the plans. You can see they're laid out everywhere. So they're making sure that's good. But looking great. I'm pretty sure it's a slower week, or a shorter week, I should say, on this job. So the time lapse is going to be pretty quick. But nonetheless, it'll be kind of valuable to see these other trades come in and kind of what they do and how like we work together. Whenever we work, we kind of like to have it so the other trades come in when we're not there. That way, just especially on these tight, cramped jobs, we're not in each other's way. So usually once we're off the job for a week, another contractor will come in for the other week, and then they'll do all their stuff and we'll just flip-flop back and forth. And then depending on how small or big the job is, like on the bigger jobs, we'll usually just like overlap, and then they'll come in while we're in there for some days. But really cool to see. Let's go take a look at everything else here, see what else was done. Like I said, I don't think we were at all here this week, so no extra plumbing or concrete or anything like that. But you can see our vapor barrier is still there, so that's going to be the next step on our end. You can see the chalk lines here. I didn't mention these last time, but you can see these blue chalk lines around. So that's going to be the floor height right there. So they walk around with their little chalk stick or their just their chalk string, and they're going to go ahead and level this out. So this is, that blue line around here is perfectly level throughout the perimeter. So then when the guys come in and pour, they just line up the concrete to that level, and boom, you have a level floor. And then we don't have them on this job. I don't see them, but usually like in the middle as well, you might have some rebar stakes sticking up at the same height. So you might have like a piece of rebar right here that's like 2 inches off the floor to tell you in the middle if you're level or not. But I'm not seeing any of those. Those are usually on the bigger jobs, like really big pads and stuff, just because it's really hard to tell when you're working with such a large surface area. But there we go. With that said, sorry for ranting to you guys. Just like talking about this kind of stuff. But with that said, that's going to bring us to the time-lapse section of this video. And I'll do a little bit of a voiceover on there too. But with that said, I'll leave you guys with the time-lapse. Later. Alright, so hopping into the time-lapse here, I'm really just going to be discussing what these other trades are doing in terms of how they affect us with what they do. So you can see this week we just had the plumbers come in and do some plumbing. So these guys are out here marking up the floor, laying out all their plumbing and all their tubes that they need going everywhere. And you can see that they have to lay out all this. They got the spray paint on the floor, kind of just marking where everything's going. And this is really important that they do this right, just because once we pour the floor, like everything underneath has to be right, or we have to tear up the whole floor. So it's very important that they do this right. But you can see they installed another sump pit over there for the plumbing. With that said, I actually recorded a little segment, so I'll leave you guys with that here real quick, just explaining that in more detail. So this is another good showcase right here for you guys. So here's 2 sump pits. So this is the inside. These things are pretty large in terms of how deep they go, you know, and you can imagine like all the groundwater seeping up through the floor here, getting drained into this. It's something that you don't really have to drain every year or whatever, you know, just like it's nice to check up on every now and then. But this thing can get pretty filled up. And instead of that doing damage to your basement, like underneath the cement and stuff, it just comes in here to the drain. So every now and then, like every 3-4 years, you just come over here, pop this thing open, drain out all your water, and you're good to go. But we haven't had this opened on the job site yet, so I just wanted to show that off. Show you just how big it is, the dimensions, and really just talk about what its purpose is. But with that said, I'll send you guys back to the regular video. So hopefully that little segment was informative, but you can see here, hopping back into the time-lapse, just how all the trenches that these guys are digging. You can see that most of the plumbing in this basement is going to be on this back side right here next to this camera. And this is partially due because since this is a finished basement, well, going to be a finished basement, they're probably going to have their bathrooms over here, maybe even like a washroom with dryers and washers. So you can see all that stuff on this side of the room, as well as they have their heater there, the new one that they installed at the beginning of this series. But pretty cool to see. You can see them over here just installing all the pipes and stuff, getting all that laid out. And so usually it sucks with other trades like this, because this, in terms of delays, we're not really on top of, right? So let's just say that these guys were missing a few pipes, right, and they had to push things back a week. We'd find out, but not as quick as us knowing that, like, we ran out of concrete type deal. So it can be a little bit of a headache if things don't run smoothly when we're not there. But for the most part, on these jobs, the other trades are pretty good at getting in there, getting it done fast, and getting everything that we need ready. That way we can work as fast as we possibly can. So you can see nearing the end of the week here, they pretty much got all their plumbing laid out. You can see it sprawling through this back side of the room right now. They got their black tubes, their white tubes just going everywhere, and you can see that they got the pipes actually popping out of the ground right here. So that's actually where the installments are going to go for, like, toilets and all that stuff, sinks. And then you can see here they're just messing around over there putting pipes together. Nothing too big, too serious. If you've done plumbing before, you know the process should be second nature to you in terms of just lining stuff up and putting tubing, making sure everything's connected, all that good stuff. But yeah, this is going to take us to the end of the week pretty much. You can see they're just filling everything in now, so the plumbing's done, and we should be good to rock and roll next week. With that said, thank you guys for watching. See you next time.